get into some Philly stuff now with Kevin Cooney, Philly Voice, Forbes, Baseball Writers Association of America, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Welcome back, Kevin. How are you, pal?
I'm good, Mike. How are you doing?
All is well. Phillies day ball today, getting ready to finish this West Coast swing. But something in the Dodgers series you saw made you kind of feel like, yep, there's still a separation between them and the Dodgers. So after this McCutchen injury, it only adds to what they have to get here, and I don't know how you rank what they need.
Well, yeah, and I think it's strange, and the McCutchen injury throws everything a little bit out of whack. And for the record, Mike, I think there's a separation between the Dodgers and everybody else in the National League. I don't even think it's that close, to be honest. I mean, you take that next level of the Brewers and the Cubs, and, you know, if you want to throw Atlanta and the Phillies in there, that's fine too. But, you know, you take McCutchen out, you know, now Gabe Kapler has to mix the lineup up in a way that really I don't think anybody in this club could have expected. I mean, you know, McCutchen's a guy who has been relatively injury-free for the bulk of his career, and then just this little fluke injury happens, and now you're forced to scramble. I don't think they can count on Jay Bruce being a long-term fit. I don't think it changes anything for Odubel Herrera, depending on what goes on in the hearing down there in a couple weeks. So they're going to maybe have to look for.
Regardless of what happens with that hearing, they would take him back?
I don't know. And I only say that is, you know, I would think that they have tired of his act. I think that it was pretty clear when they were playing Kingery in center field that they had kind of have worn out before any field. There's also, you know, well, I think it depends on what happens in court. I mean, to be bluntly honest, if he's suspended, then, you know, all this is going to get taken out of the Phillies' hands anyway. And I would doubt that he would be back, but, you know, is there always a possibility? Yeah. I mean, you know, the groundwork on this team changed a little bit, and forget the moral aspect of it. You know, it probably was a lot easier to say to an Odubel Herrera who was cleared of any charges, okay, you could come, or, you know, it was easier to say goodbye to Odubel Herrera a couple days ago than it is now. You know, forget whatever the charges are, you know, if he was found innocent.
Kevin, they got bullpen problems, as we saw in the game. You know, they went they went head-to-head with the Dodgers. They were up 5-3 in the 8th. They blow the game in the 9th on Saturday night. It's 0-0 in the 7th. They go to the bullpen. They can't throw a strike. Velasquez and Garcia, a lot of those guys are hurt in the bullpen right now. Is it getting those guys back going to help out, or are there major more moves that they need to make to fix that bullpen, or getting Hunter and Neshek and Robertson and Morgan back, is that good enough?
See, here's the problem with that, though. You don't know about Neshek. You don't know about Robertson. You think you're going to get Hunter back some point here in July. You think you're going to get Morgan back here in relatively due course. You still have some serious issues that have to be resolved. Their bullpen needs beefing up. And the problem is, and you guys have followed the sport long enough, bullpen is the one thing that usually breaks late at the deadline. That you can normally get a bullpen arm, you know, you really start hearing about bullpen arms moving into the 24th, 25th of July and everything. I don't think that everybody's going to be looking for bullpen arms, but I think the Phillies have to address some of the other needs before that. And, you know, you guys asked me what I think number one priority is. I still think number one priority is a starting pitcher. You know, they can try Adam Hazley for right now, and I think there'll be plenty of outfielders that if they want to go fill that role on the McCutchen thing, they can go fill that at some point. There'll be bullpen arms available in late July. They need a left-handed starting pitcher more than anything else right now because all 5 of their starters give almost the exact same look every night at this point. None of them are real overpowering. None of them are going to wow you. Almost their motions, if you look at it, are the same. And by the time you get later in the season, teams are going to have the foul report down. And Nola's not performed well. Arrieta's been inconsistent. They need to get a lefty that will just make everybody in the rotation better because it will keep everybody a little bit off balance right now. These teams are just kind of digging in on the Phillies and knowing exactly what's coming.
Yeah, Kevin, and you got that added to. You mentioned Nola, and at what point do you start to be concerned of when is Nola going to turn the corner, if at all? This has been a guy who's just been average for the most part this year. I mean, do you start to get concerned looking at what you saw in San Diego the other day?
Concerned for this year, I am, but I think long term, maybe it's time to pump the brakes a little bit on a lot of this. Look, Aaron Nola threw a ton of innings last year, and it was the first time he really threw that anywhere close to that amount of innings. And we have seen, look, I'll go back to Cole Hamels in 2009. Guys who throw that amount of innings for the first time, over 200, close to 220, 230, the following year they're going to have their struggles. And you look at Nola's lack of control, you look at the home run ratio that he's given up, or the amount of home runs he's given up. I think that's all an indication of maybe a guy still learning and maybe paying a little bit of the price for the workload last year that he went through for the first time. There's an adjustment period that goes on. I think that he'll go through it. He's a pretty smart guy. That being said, I think for this year, if you're counting on Aaron Nola to be what he was through late August last year, and a third in the Cy Young kind of guy, I don't know you're going to see that in 2019.
Kevin Cooney talking a little Phillies with us here. Check out his piece at phillyvoice.com, at Kevin Cooney on Twitter. All right, now center field, we kind of hinted McCutchen's done. What's going to happen with Herrera? But at some point, do they have enough to make a trade to get someone viable for that position? Or do you go with Adam Hazley and Kingery and just cross your fingers the rest of the season?
That's a real great question. When you think about it, Mike, it's a question of they gave away they had a deep farm system for a long time, and then you start to pick around it. In the Segura trade, you gave up Crawford, and you've done a couple other moves that have kind of depleted along the way here. They don't have that top flight prospect that's going to wow everybody. The Sixto Sanchez is gone, and the Alfaro is gone, and those type of guys are gone. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to target a couple things. You're going to have to target rental players, which, to be honest, probably if you, I'll mention the Madison Bumgarner's case, but, you can go into the outfield and find guys who, maybe, a Derek Dietrich or something going down the road here, where you can get them for a cheaper price, okay? I think that's what they're going to have to look at. They're not going to be able to make the massive mega move. And to be honest, look, McCutchen signed for another year. They're in the offseason.
2 more years, right?
They would make. Yeah, I mean, you got him for at least 2 more. It's not, and you expect that he'll be back next year. I'm not sure if spring training opening day is realistic, but some point by opening day, I'm sure he'll be back. They're going to have to address center field at some point anyway in here. The question is, do you kind of ride it out with Hazley? Do you go maybe get a rental player here? You let Bruce get at bats and you kind of shift guys around and all that, and play it out this year with the idea of, look, it would have been a long shot for us to win the World Series anyway. Let's try to make the playoffs with what we had, gain the experience, and move forward. I think that's the wiser play here than kind of pushing all the chips to the middle of the table in a sprint to go get it this year. That's where the discussion for me, Mike, changed on Monday night. If you had McCutchen and you were able to focus in and not have to worry about that hole in the outfield, okay, I would have said, look, roll the dice, make a big move for Bumgarner or Will Smith at the deadline, consider Kimbrel if you wanted to, and you can maybe make a run at being the Dodgers in a 7-game series. Realistically, I think anybody looking at this, without, cherry pinstripe glasses, has to look and say that is probably dialed back now. Now you try to get in the playoffs, get one of those playoff spots, get the experience, and see what you can do moving forward.
All right, we'll get you out on this. Kimbrel, Keuchel, neither, both?
Neither.
Neither they'll get. And if they – so neither you think they'll get. If they need it, if they should get one, which one?
I would say if they could get one, personally I would go after Kimball. But I'll be honest, Mike, I wouldn't touch either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have my fears about guys who sit around as long as either one of these guys had and having to sign them to a bigger contract.
Right.
Now, even if it's not a multi-year deal, even if it's prorated, I just, one, Keuchel was not a fit here anyway. I'm not sure he would have been well in this ballpark. And Kimball, there was enough warning signs for me last year in September and October with the Red Sox that I'm not ready to turn a 2 or 3 year deal over to this guy and think everything's going to be fine when he hasn't really picked up baseball and competitive play in 11 months, or 10 or 11 months. I just can't. And so I would stay away from both if I were the Phillies.
All right, they got a lot of decisions to make. Matt Klentak, very important spot. And by the way, the trade deadline is only one deadline, not a second deadline like years past. And a lot of teams are probably going to be thinking around that time that, hey, we're still in this. So it's going to make trading, do you think, more difficult or easier?
I think it's going to make it a little easier because I think teams are going to be realistic a little bit more with their playoff opportunities. I think you saw teams at the July deadline who thought, well, if it got hot, we can get the second wild card. I think a lot more teams are going to be looking at that July deadline going, okay, we're not going to be able to break this up in August, so let's get what we can for some of these guys. I think in that sense it's better for the sport. But for Matt Klentak, it's going to be a really challenging time because, again, if he does nothing,
right,
it's strange. If he does nothing, he's going to get roasted. And if he goes all in and they don't win, people were wondering why you went all in on a year when your second most important free agent acquisition got hurt and was out for the season. It's just a really strange circumstance.
Check out at Kevin Cooney on Twitter, at Philly Voice for his last article column concerning the Phillies and where they are, and they're getting ready to first pitch right now as Kevin Cooney joined us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it as always.
Anytime, guys.